Well, today is a very nice day to do a video of this Tisas Night Stalker. This has become one of my absolute favorite farm guns. Let's start off with number one. One of the main reasons that I got this, number one, is because of this special rail that you see here. That is a Picatinny rail. The history of the Picatinny rail is, it is named after the Picatinny Lake on a special arsenal in New Jersey at 6,600 acres, and they've got the Army there. Army has some engineers and some professional designers that do all kinds of stuff for the military, and they replaced the weaver that had been used years ago as on top of rifles to mount scopes. They went ahead and came up with this Picatinny rail. Unfortunately, you can't see all the Picatinny there. You can see a little piece of it right here. But they came up with that Picatinny rail, and named after the lake there in New Jersey, right outside the Army base. And they did a really good job. This has now become the standard in the industry. It was developed in 1995. So I snapped on this laser here, and this laser is $24.99. Comes from Amazon, and I want to read you the call letters, the name for it. It is a DF, that's Delta Foxtrot -1062, and that is a very nice laser. It's got simple controls. You've got a light on this side. Let's see if I can get this to shine on you a little bit. There's the light on that side, and then you got the laser control on this side, and I see I got you lasered up there. So if you were pulling this out to go to work at night, heard the bump in the night, you'd simply just take your two fingers like this, hit both controls, and you're up and running with laser and with the light. You can clearly see how that works there. I'll make sure I hit the center of the camera. So we'll turn that off. To mount this, it just has one little floating bracket on this side, and you can clearly see it has a nice heavy bronze female threaded part. And on the other side, there is a kind of an odd looking screw. It's different from anything I've ever seen, but it sticks up a little bit. You can take a quarter and just put your quarter there and turn that and get that good and tight. But this gives you the ability to become a professional shooter in about 60 seconds. You mount that laser on the gun, and then you can go to work. You're gonna see at the end of this video, I'm gonna be doing some speed shooting in my shoot house. We're gonna have 4 blue balloons, 4 pink balloons. I'm gonna engage the targets on one side of the hallway, take a quick 2 steps so that I don't shoot my camera, and go to the other side of the hallway. I'm gonna shoot 8 balloons with 8 rounds in under 3 seconds. So please stay for that video. Okay, so I told you a little bit about this laser. It has a light on here that is 800 lumens. It has the laser good for 4 hours. Here's another very important feature. Instead of having a plug-in for your charger, this has a magnetic ring type, and I really like that because you can drop the little magnetic ring. It will be red. It has its own little light on it. It'll be red when you first put it on and it begins to charge. Once it reaches full charge, you'll have a nice bright green light. So you can lay that on your bedstand, have the magnetic hooked up to it. It'll be USB, standard USB on the other side. Just plug it into any of your iPhone or whatever phone charger blocks you got laying around. And it just makes it super easy. So then once it's charged, you could grab the gun up, chamber around, have it ready to go, have your safety on, and just pull away from your charger. You don't have to unplug anything, just pull and go. So that's a very good setup for that. All right, so that's the laser. It's gonna cost you $24.99. To adjust it, let's go ahead and cover that. It uses a 1/16 inch Allen wrench. You've got an adjustment point right there. The adjustment's very crisp and easy to work with. 1/16, that's your up and down. You've got another one right here. Again, 1/16 Allen wrench, and this is your right and left. All I did on mine when I set it up was I got it set like that. I picked out a nice small target on the wall. You can use a light switch or an outlet, something like that, and really aim carefully with your open sights. Get them lined up perfectly, and then look and see where your laser's hitting, and then just adjust it and match your laser to your sights, and then go outside and shoot some small targets. I shot some circles that I just made with a Sharpie and a quarter out at 10 yards, which is 30 feet. And I was able to drill that bullet dead center, sitting from a sandbag rest over and over and over again. You can see that on one of my other videos. All right, next, let's talk about the Night Stalker as a value for a pistol. This is a $600 pistol, which a lot of people, when they hear that entry-level price range in the $550, $600 range, they're like, that's gonna be a cheap gun. That would be wrong if you drew that conclusion. Never make that assumption. Tisas is built in Turkey. Turkey is one of our USA allies. A little bit of a complex situation there. They don't align with us on everything, but they are our NATO military ally. Also, a bunch of the boys that do the programming for the CNC are veterans, and we've got a bunch of boys also, young men that work at SDS in Tennessee, Knoxville, that do the distribution sales of this gun. Let's talk about the features. First off, the grips. The grips are a heavy-duty anodized aluminum. They are triangular. I call it triangular because you got one flat, two flats, and a little bitty third flat right there. And then you have also a complete magwell, which is nice. This gun is empty. Magwell's on the bottom. Magwell is a one-piece arrangement with the rear main spring housing, and that's all one piece. Excellent fit and finish. This has not been smooth with a Dremel to blend exact, but it doesn't matter because it does what a magwell is supposed to do. Makes it very easy for you to insert a mag into the gun quickly, and that's really all a magwell is there for. So, another feature, this has a slightly extended magazine release. You can see that there as a reference, and it's I'd say about 25-30% longer or wider than a standard GI one. This one also has a very nice Cerakote finish. This is a platinum finish or titanium, I think. I don't know what they call that for sure. I think it's titanium. Titanium type, I think maybe it is platinum. Platinum, titanium, whatever you want to call it. I call it a gray. It's a beautiful color. It is a Cerakote. The wear so far, I've been carrying on the farm, knocking around the holster. I haven't seen any wear marks, so they did a good job on that. This does have an ambidextrous safety, and I have taken the gun completely apart. The ambidextrous safety on this, instead of having the typical two thin blades that go together in a dovetail fashion, these have a square pin in the middle of that and a square hole on the other side. So when you marry them together, those square pin post and hole go together and puts the stress and the load on that instead of on the thin wings. So that means it's going to be a good stout part. It's not going to break on you easy. I have had a ambidextrous that came apart on me years gone past. They did a good job of smoothing this. Sometimes the ambidextrous safety people will get a little lackluster on the way they lay these in and make them a little rough. This one is good. So if you're left-handed, I think you'll be very happy with the controls on that. What other features does it have? It has these beautiful lightning cuts here. I call them oil holes. Put drop of oil, 1, 2, 3, 4 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4 drops of oil, port and starboard. And that will make it run as smooth as greased lightning. What else does it have? It has front sight and rear sight or dovetail cut, which is always good to have. This is a Glock pattern dovetail in the rear, so you can change this side out whatever you want. It has tombstone cuts, which means the corners won't snag on anything, and your front sight is a night sight. Has the orange to see by day and a little green glass cylinder full of tritium for your night sight. What does it have for barrel bushing? Barrel bushing is a standard GI barrel bushing. The spring in here is about an 18-pounder. It has the small stubby guide rod, which is a nice GI feature. I love that. What else does it have? It has a custom trigger, which is a nice flat trigger. The trigger brake on this gun is crisp. It was 6 pounds. I went ahead and put in a little bit lighter spring in here from Cylinder and Slide. The 3-leaf spring part goes in here. I went ahead and changed that out and tuned it for 3 pounds because I like 3 pounds. So that is that's how you make that laser become more and more and more accurate, is get it to where when you make that trigger brake, watch the hammer fall, when you make that trigger brake, you want it to be very crisp, light and crisp. And you can do that. Once you can do that dry firing and make it where you don't see that laser wiggle, when you're aiming at thumbtack is good. Thumbtack on a 3x5 card is a great target, a black one, because it'll absorb the laser, keep it from overshining. But you just pull that real careful and make sure that your laser stays put. After you can do that a few times, then take it out in the yard and start putting some lead down range, man. Okay, what other features? Oh, this is a very nice feature. This one has that flat on the front of the rear sight, that flat hardened steel riser right there, which means if you get shot in your left hand and you can't cycle a slide, you can always use that on the edge of a table, on the tailgate of a truck, or on your belt loop. Is the easiest because it's always with you, and you can use that to cycle the gun. So you would push down on that. I don't have anything here handy that the camera will be able to see, but you get the point. So rack it like that. That's a very nice tactical shelf. What else? I don't want to leave anything out. High ride beaver tail, that is always handy. It's got the speed bump, which is always handy. It does have the Delta hammer, which makes the hammer quicker, makes it better for you to have a quick release on the hammer. And also after you do a lightweight trigger, it has it much less chance of it having a hammer follow, which I'll demonstrate that now. We will pull the trigger, hold the trigger, and then let the slide go forward. You see the hammer stay to the rear, let off, quick reset, and then there's that. So that's a quick way to check for hammer follow. Hold the trigger down, let the slide go forward. Hammer should stay to the rear. No hammer follow. So that helps to have that Delta hammer for that purpose. What else? Let's see here. Oh, yeah, one last one. They did put this fish scale looking cuts. This has been machined into the lower frame, and that is very similar, very close proximity to what Ed Brown does. They did the same thing on the rear here, so that gives you a little bit more traction. Some people think that these are slick. They are not a rough finish like a G10 that's been made real aggressive, but because of this angle that it has, when you put your fingers on there, it has a tendency to use those triangles as a nice wedge. So I have had no problem on the farm with those grips slipping. Don't worry about that at all. If you want a gun that's accurate and hits over and over and is very reliable and is a forged, solid forged gun, top and bottom, and the parts inside are tool steel, there's no MIM parts in this gun, you get this gun right here for $600, you're not going to go wrong. You're just not. It comes with two 8-round mags, and that's another nice feature, to have two mags. A lot of your big gun makers have decided they're going to save a lot of money and go with one mag. I don't like that. Colt does that. You buy a $1,400 Colt Gold Cup and they give you one mag. You buy a Springfield Ronin or a Springfield Emissary, they give you one mag. That's no good. That's not a good business profile. So Tisas was kind enough to send two mags, and I like that. Let's talk about, see what's the next thing on my agenda. This is important. Some people will understand this, some people will not, but I have a lot of customers ask me, which mag do you want? You want a 7-round, 8-round, 9-round? Okay, I'm gonna answer this quickly. John Moses Browning designed this gun around a 7-round mag. This is a GI style gun here. The pattern of the frame is GI. This is a Colt Gold Cup. This mag is a little bit extended mag, so it is a true 8-round magazine. So it is okay for it to have 8 rounds. Here's why I know that. If you lay the mags out side by side, you will quickly see, putting the lip to lip, that this mag has extra length on it. That is an 8-round mag. When they make this an 8-round mag, there's not near as much room in the rear and the spring gets highly compressed. So if I'm going to use this mag that comes with the gun, I'll put 8 rounds in, stick it in the gun, let that first round, round number 1, go into the chamber, safety on, and that leaves 7 in the mag with plenty of room on the spring. That's a good setup, no problem. So 7 rounds in a 7-round mag, 7 in an 8-round mag. Now here's the thing you don't want to do. If the gun has a slide forward like that, you do not want to take 8 full rounds with that compressed all the way and try to jam them in your gun and go like that, because you will think that you latched and you'll find out the hard way that you did not, because you're having to compress all 8 of those rounds and the spring down into the mag. So you have to hit it hard and then put your thumb up in there and make sure that it lasts. So don't do that. Take your 8 rounds in here, simply lock your slide to the rear. Now when you put your 8 rounds up in there, what's going to happen is they won't be touching anything. I'll demonstrate that with a real mag that's got real bullets in it so that you can see that, okay? So if you take that, put it in there, now that don't have 8 rounds in it right now, but you'll be able to see. See the bullet? The bullet is sitting up in there and it's not touching anything. So what that means is when you put 8 rounds in here and shove it into the gun, then when you go to strip your first one off, it will take it off and it will leave you with 7 in here and plenty of room for your springs. That's a good setup. Don't bother with trying to put 1 in here and then 8 in here and try to shove it in there. Don't do that. That's just, you're making it harder and harder and harder on the gun, and it's not going to be as reliable as what it could be. John Moses Browning knew what he was doing when he made this a 7-round magazine. Companies try to make it 8 because back in the competition days, IPSC competition, steel plate shooters, they didn't want to have to reload after the 7th round, so they gave them an 8-round mag, but they kept it in the same size on the gun so that everything was flush and looked pretty like that. But I wouldn't do that. I would not try to carry that with 8 rounds in it. Take your 8, put them in there. First thing you do, go ahead and have this to the rear. 8 going in, 1 goes away like that. And now you've got 7 in here, 7 in here, 1 in the chamber. You've still got 8 rounds. That's enough to take care of the problem. And then have you a spare mag. Say, what do you do with a spare mag? Well, if you got in a shootout and you had to do it, your gun is going to lock to the rear like that after you shoot the last round. So then you could have 8 in here, bring it on board, let it fly, and you're back in the fight. So that answers that question for customers that wanted to know. Okay, what mods did I do this gun? Everybody's going to always ask that. Very simple mods, very simple. What I did was I took the extractor out of this gun. I used my expert extractor technology that I came up with. I've got a special tool called the Goldilocks tool. You need to go to my website on the Shoot Fire with Ashley channel and just type in expert extractor, and you'll get to see how I tune this extractor. A good tuned extractor should have a tension of about 1.5 pounds. That's my target. That's what I shoot at, and it makes these guns run very reliable. This one had about 4 pounds of tension. The extractor is a claw. It's a long piece of metal inside there, and it has a claw to it. And if it's bent down hard against the shell, what happens is, as it comes up out of the mag, tries to go up the breech face, it will get hung up, and you'll have feed issues if the extractor claw's tension is too high, and that's what I had. Had a few feed issues. You put a high-tech mag in there and make it run, but that's just a band-aid over a wound, and you didn't take care of the problem. So you tune the extractor, make sure your extractor is about 1.5 to 2 pounds total tension. The second mod I did to this, which is I do to every one of my guns, inside here I took the sear spring out, factory in, put it in a bag, labeled it for this gun, and I put in a cylinder and slide. And I tuned it to a reduced one, and I went ahead and finger tuned it to 3 pounds. So I took this nice crisp trigger that was 6 pounds and dropped that on down to 3 pound trigger. Say, why do you do that? Well, the lighter the trigger weight, the easier it is for you to keep that laser on the object that you are trying to put a bullet on. So it just helps, man. The lighter the trigger, the easier you can shoot it well. So I hope that helps with that. Let's see what we got left. Let's see. Oh, okay. Somebody asked me, well, you got a laser on there and you're going to depend on that laser, and your laser's shining, okay, and it's shining on the target. And what happens if your laser dies like that? You've got night sights on this gun. So I just switch over to night sights. I use the night sight. I don't have to see if it's lined up exactly in the rear, because up close and personal, you keep your arms level, and you just put that in the center of the bad guy. You would hopefully use your light, or at least have low lighting in your home, and that goes in the center mass of the bad guy using the little green radioactive tritium night sight. It's tritium gas inside a glass cylinder, and that will keep that lit up in the dark if your laser dies. So that's your backup. So that answers that question. I think I answered all the questions. Now, guess what we're gonna do next? We're gonna jump right into the shooting time for this gun, for this Night Stalker, and you're gonna get to see it go to work. We're going to shoot 4 blue balloons, 4 pink balloons in under 3 seconds. Get your timers ready, because we're going to the shoot house and go do some shooting with this really nice Night Stalker. Thanks for watching. Please tap the like and subscribe on the way out the door. Over and out for now. Okay, it is time to do a little house clearing practice with the Night Stalker pistol. This Night Stalker tonight is going to be using a laser to get the job done, as you can see that right there. And I'm going to show you just one little quick trick that you might want to consider when you're loading the gun. But one thing to do, if you've got a mag like this one comes with, this is the Tisas Night Stalker in a 5-inch gun. It comes with an 8-round mag. I like to lock the slide to the rear, just like that. And with the slide locked to the rear, insert the mag with 8 rounds. It makes it go in much smoother. You're not having to compress any rounds. John Moses Browning designed this gun to have 7 rounds. When you put 8, you're going to run into a problem if that slide is forward. It does not like that. So now we can go ahead and chamber round up. It chambered good, safety on, and let's do some house clearing. All right, when I shoot the first target, I'd like for you to start your timer. Somebody told me on my website that, on my YouTube channel, they said, you're shooting those balloons awful slow, so we're gonna speed it up a little bit tonight during this house clearing. I'm only gonna step to the side for a split second so I don't shoot my camera, but here we go, and you can start your timer on the first shot. Safety off. Let's start with the balloon on the bottom. And go ahead and start your timer. Okay, that went pretty well. And you can see the gun ran perfect. The laser worked perfect. And it ejected all 8 rounds, no problem at all. Locked the slide to the rear. And I'm very happy with that gun. So if you're watching this, you probably have watched the tabletop right before it. So I hope you enjoyed that. And you can tell me how much it was on the time. Start your timers, stop your timers, and tell me how long it took. Over and out for now.